Today is Friday, which means we have 2 new episodes of Outer Range, 3 and 4. We're going to talk about them right now. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Last week, I was able to recommend this show to a lot of people. Got some good responses, so I decided we're going to continue to cover it. If you like this, let me know by dropping that like down below, and we will continue to cover it episode by episode, or 2 by 2, because that's the release strategy. But enough talk. We know what you're here for. Let's get right into episode 3, picking up after that crazy revelation at the end of episode 2 where we saw what actually went down when he fell into the hole, but now we are back to normal, or maybe not, because it feels like this show is going more and more into sci-fi territory episode by episode. And even though episode 3 may not be the craziest series of revelations, there are a couple of subtle hints in this episode as to what is coming, and I want to talk about that. But let's start at the beginning. We have a little sequence with Deputy Sheriff Joy, who is playing a bigger role in this episode. She walks into a gas station, gets a couple of hints as to what's going on in one of the sections, and has to take down someone, break his arm in the process, and he had a gun, so it's untelling what he was going to do. But the conversation for me that was interesting was the one in the car on the way back to the precinct. Essentially, a lot of people are saying, I knew someone who disappeared. And as we go through this show, again, making those lost comparisons, making those dark comparisons, and I saw a ton of great theories in last week's batch of episodes as to who some of these characters are. Is Autumn an older version of his daughter? It's like those kinds of theories, which I love, and I think those things are very possible, but that's the type of show that it is. So we get another hint. Someone has disappeared. Many people have been disappearing, and as we go, we hear more tales of that, so we understand that this whole, and really this entire town, creepy things have been happening for a long time. Are we going to get those answers? The jury's out on that. So then we get a conversation between she and Rhett talking about Trevor, and that's the big theme of these 2 episodes, is Trevor's going missing. Who's behind this? What are the obvious clues as to how it happened? And then, of course, the revelation, episode 4. But episode 3 is more about making Rhett feel really uncomfortable. He's kind of the unhinged son. He's the youngest. He's known for kind of his antics when he's under the influence. And you have the rodeo scene where Joy is telling him that they found his blood on Trevor's belt buckle. Of course, he's going to deny this, but she's very aware that he's not telling her the entirety of the truth until a little bit later when he tells her exactly, quote unquote, exactly what he wants her to know what happened. And that's believable, right? I got in a fight. That was the end of it. Of course, we did not murder that guy. Of course, we didn't murder that guy. But she is still questioning what he is saying, but believes him nonetheless. Then he gets himself arrested doing something really dumb, so when Royal comes in to bail him out of jail, he takes that little piece of evidence, and what does he do? The same thing he does with all of his problems. Throws them into the black hole that's on the ground on the ranch, like we all do with our issues. So the next big scene we see is between Royal and Autumn, where they're kind of exchanging information and, letting her know just enough that, yes, I time traveled. Don't entirely know where I was, but I know it was our future together. And she seems to be just as shocked as any of us when they shake hands and he gets a good look at her necklace. This is the part that had me so confused at the moment and still does, frankly. Now, I was wondering, is he the only one that's seeing this when the mountain behind her literally disappears and then comes back? Or are other people around the town seeing this as well? Then we realize that, no, everyone is seeing this because our deputy sees it. Apparently, people are calling into the police station saying, hey, a mountain disappeared, and then it came back. But for me, this is the kind of speculation that's almost annoying to a degree, right? It's fun, and we're still trying to figure out what exactly that means. But oh my God, if I don't have 1,000 questions just based off of that one moment. Now we know a little bit later, our young girl going up on the mountain and seeing the body laying there. So how did he get back there? Was it because this exchange happened? But that was the part for me that said, oh, we're going we're not just going full sci-fi, we're going beyond that point. Then as we wrap up the episode, we have Luke demanding that our sheriff goes and arrests Rhett. She discovers that there is evidence that is missing, of course, going back to that scene prior where he takes that blood-stained belt buckle, and of course, poor Amy. I feel bad for her. I'm also starting to look at those theories of Amy is Autumn, which is why she doesn't remember the first few years of her life, and I'm like, there may be something to that. You all are a lot smarter than I am. Episode 4 starts with a flashback as we have Wayne looking a lot younger with no respirator, and we have this rock. He looks at this rock, feels of it for a few seconds, and says, I want more of this rock. Anytime you see something that looks like this rock, you bring it to me, and then he does his little dance, and I'm thinking to myself, this show just keeps getting weirder and weirder, but I'm intrigued. He also tells the person that once when he was a child, he did run into this hole, so there is a little bit of a connection there as well. Like I said in the last video, these two families, they have their connections, they have their reasons to be attached to this, but what's the deeper meaning behind this, and where is this going to lead them, and what the heck is in the hole? So then we have the back and forth between the sheriff and the officers and the family, who is acting really awkward when she sits down to question them. You guys, you want anything to drink, eat, something to help us cover up our murder? But the issue is, Rhett is not there. He is elsewhere. So when they approach Rhett to get answers, he has to very quickly and intensely answer a phone call to say exactly where they said he was that night. He also has Maria, who is lying to the officer, and she says she was indeed with him on the night of the brawl, which later she retracts that statement because she does not want to be caught up in this family drama, especially when she realizes that someone is dead. Then we have Trevor's mother, who shows up just in time for the coroner's report, but it is, of course, illegal to be present during that. A nice little intense moment between she and the sheriff, and then we get more of Billy singing, and I'm just like, I understand he enjoys it, but I've had enough. I loved Josh Brolin during the scene where he just freaks out on poor Carl. Well, I don't want to say poor Carl because, of course, he's being paid off to lie, but he just grabs his shirt, pulls him towards his face, and says, listen, if you keep covering these things up, I'm going to throw you in the hole, and there are no Fritos in the hole, my friend. Just keeps crunching on those Fritos, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't blame you for getting pissed off. That would piss me off, but that's just like another great example of if you didn't have Josh Brolin in the role, I don't know if I would like this show as much because there's so much mystery right now. I'm a little confused. And then we have the very tense standoff between he and Autumn. That was amazing. He's wagering all of his land for this necklace. What does the necklace mean? Like, why does he feel like he needs this to this degree? But that's a great example of, you know, the elements that work the best in this show. The family drama, the intense moments, the dialogue, the exchanges, less so the sci-fi stuff just because we don't have those answers yet. But then during, like in the midst of that scene, you have the bison that comes in. Now, we know the necklace has the same exact stone that Royal found on the mountain where Trevor's body was recovered. And there's a little bit of movement going on within that stone. You even have Wayne jumping out of bed to drive over to Abbott's pastures, looking further into this mystery. And then we have the ending where Royal, wanting to protect this secret, attacks Wayne. There's a violent fight that happens on screen. Royal gets kind of knocked out with Wayne's stone, and Wayne leaves the property just laughing like a maniac. So I'm sitting here watching this unfold, thinking to myself, you have two men that are compelled by objects that we still do not know the details of, doing whatever it takes to get done what they need to get done. What is driving them? What is pushing them? Is this a force in which we know nothing about? And we had those scenes of Wayne almost, it looks like he's praying to this bison on his wall, like it is the god that is doing all of this. And then you have the bison scene between Royal and Autumn. I'm thinking, what is the meaning behind this? I mean, if you guys have any theories to throw out there behind what exactly is happening, I know we're not supposed to know the answers just yet, But at the end of the day, it is also fascinating because we have these series that have worked so well, building up suspense and mystery before, giving us a great payoff. I think it all comes down to what the payoff is after this season is over, if we even get a payoff. Once this season ends, I am so curious to see where this goes, you guys. And apologies for taking a bit to get all of my thoughts out. There's just so much to unpack within these episodes, and you look at the motives behind the characters and just the performances as a whole. And I do believe the cast is doing a great job thus far. I just want to start getting a few answers. I know we're getting a little bit every now and then, but I want to get more so. So please, if you like this, I'm enjoying this, but it all comes down to your all's response. If you want to come back next week, we'll make it happen. I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you guys for all that you do. You are truly the best. This weekend we have some really fun rankings talking DreamWorks and Robert Eggers. I'll see you soon.